Welcome in. This is Matt Benz, and you are listening to Benzy's Bit, episode number 20. Thanks for coming in. It's going to be a jam-packed show. I guarantee you that. We are going to start out with the All Access Sports Network Power Rankings after watching a interesting NFL Week number 4. I will also give you the Bonehead and Baller of the Week. Then we'll dip into some buzz around the sports universe. And lastly, I will deliver my locks for Benzy's Bets of the Week. Now, last week I lit up the sports book with my bets, so let me deliver those to you as well this week. But first, let's get in the meat and potatoes, and that is going to be the power rankings. Now, my power rankings are definitely getting some clicks. That's for sure. If you go to All Access Sports Network and you listen to some of the other shows that I join on, you will hear them critique and demolish my power rankings. Now, as the season has progressed, you'll definitely notice that some of the teams that I have taken and stuck my neck out for have failed me. Beautiful. My rankings are not chalk for the most part. I'm going to put my eggs in some random baskets that I feel like those teams can and will prove themselves. One of those are in my rankings this week that have proven themselves as of last week. So starting off at number 10, a new team in the power rankings, and that is the Cleveland Browns. They are currently 3-1, and they beat the Cowboys 49-38. They do play a jam-packed defense this week at home against the Colts. That will be a very interesting matchup. I love to see what Kevin Stefanski is doing with the offense, and he's getting more creative and really involving Odell much more. And that is the ticket to the Browns. I've said it before that if you involve Odell more, he will make plays out of nothing. And that's a huge thing to realize. He is an asset. He's not just a decoy, and they are using him as such. At number 9, I have the LA Rams. They are currently 3-1, and they also were not on the power rankings as of last week. They beat the Giants, but only 17-9. That in of itself is depressing for one. I mean, you would think that the Rams being a pretty explosive offense, especially in the pass game, they didn't put up those numbers this last week. Look for them to bounce back offensively as they play the Washington football team. Another decent defense, but how long are they going to be keeping their heads in the game when they are such a trash team? So the Rams at number 9. At number 8, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or should we call them the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are 3-1. Last week they were ranked number 9 in the power rankings, so they did move up a spot. They beat the Chargers 38-31 after a stellar performance from Tom Brady. They are playing the Bears this week. Sorry, Combs. Looks like there's another L coming your Bears' way. At number 7, we have the Saints. Now, they were ranked number 7 in my rankings last week. A lot of people criticized that. They are currently 2-2, and they beat the Lions 35-29 without Michael Thomas. They do play the Chargers next week. I look for them to continue to bounce back and continue to get more and more mesh defensively and offensively on the ball. Very interesting so far this year for the Saints. I saw a lot more that I wanted to see out of an older, maybe even over the hill Drew Brees, but to see him spread out the ball, to see him not just doing dump offs to Alvin Kamara and really trying to give it all that he's got left, because who knows how much is left in that tank. But I do have them staying at number 7. At number 6, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is a tough one for me because they are a 4-0 team. Last week, they were also at number 6, so they're going to stay put. They beat the Dolphins 31-23. That defense still scares me a lot, and I understand that Russ is still doing his thing. Now, to see Tyler Lockett basically not even be You couldn't even tell me if he was on the field or not with his stat box for that game. Very depressing. But hey, they got a great bounce back week against a Vikings team that got their first W. But look for the Seahawks to expose those DBs. At number 5, we have the Steelers, who did not play this week because their game was postponed due to COVID. They were last week's ranking of number 3, so they did drop down 2 spots to number 5. They play against the Eagles at home this week. Now, I think with that postponed game, it's going to be great for the Steelers. It's a bummer that their bye is basically moved up like that, but for them to be able to heal up and keep that momentum going, I think that will be very pivotal for their beginning of the season. So Steelers at 5. At 4, I have the Baltimore Ravens. They are staying put at number 4. They beat the Washington football team 31-17. They did cover the spread. They play against Joe Burrow's Bengals this coming week. Now, it's very interesting to see what they're doing because you see Ingram and you see Dobbins, and they haven't really exerted themselves as the rushing team that they were last year. Don't get me wrong, they're still putting up rushing yards, but it's not a ground and pound, which it should be, really, because you see the way that Lamar throws the ball and the things that he still has to learn in the passing game. I would look for them to really rely more and more and more as the year progresses on that run game. At number 3, we have the Buffalo Bills. Now, they're a team that I haven't been wanting to give as much respect as they are due. Okay. Now, last week they were ranked number 5, so they did move up 2 spots. They are a 4-0 team. They beat the Raiders 30-23. Josh Allen is having just a stellar year. Really taking that next level up and really relying on the talent that he has on the offensive side of the ball, but also just staying calm, cool, and collective. It will be interesting to see if the Titans defense this coming week, rested, can really get after him in the backfield. I want to see if he can really handle that powerhouse of a defense that can get inside his head. So that will be interesting to see, but they earned that spot at number 3. At number 2, I have the Green Bay Packers. They are 4-0, and they were number 2 last week, so they stayed put. They beat the Falcons 30-16, and they have a bye this coming week. At number 1, I have the Kansas City Chiefs staying at number 1 as they were last week. They beat a Patriots team without Cam Newton 26-10. That Patriots defense still gave that team plenty of opportunities to be in the game, and it would be a very interesting matchup if Cam was in the lineup. However, the Chiefs get the victory, and they play against the Raiders this coming week at home. So that is the power rankings. Once again, 10 Browns, 9 Rams, 8 Bucks, 7 Saints, 6 Seahawks, 5 Steelers, 4 Ravens, 3 Bills, 2 Packers, 1 Chiefs. Brilliant. That is the power rankings. Let's get on to the baller of the week. So the baller of the week has to do with somebody either in any sport. It can be involving money. It can be involving their game that they had where they balled out, any of the above. So we're going to rely this week on balling out, which Joe Mixon did this week. Joe Mixon, running back for the Bengals, went off. Let's get this. So the Bengals did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 33-25. Joe Mixon had 25 rushes for 151 yards. Now that's averaging just a little over 6 yards per attempt. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns. But the thing that Joe Mixon does is he also utilizes the passing game. He is a dual threat, and that's one thing that he hasn't really been able to take advantage of without having a dynamic quarterback. He's had a very conservative quarterback in the past with Andy Dalton. Now he has more of a dynamic playmaker in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got him 6 targets for 6 catches, 30 yards receiving, and a receiving touchdown. So Joe Mixon went off. I know Mike Reeves is very pleased with Joe Mixon going off because he made a trade to acquire him. Now into the bonehead of the week. Well, the Vikings assisted with this bonehead of the week, and that is for Bill O'Brien. Houston Texans fire coach/GM Bill O'Brien after an 0-4 start. CEO Cal McNair said in a statement, Bill's leadership moved our organization forward as he guided us to 4 AFC South Division championships, 52 wins, and multiple playoff appearances during his tenure. I don't necessarily agree with him moving you forward. I think in the last 12 months, we'll say 12 months, in the last 12 months, he has dramatically thrown the Texans organization backwards. Here's one way that he did so. He traded wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals for running back David Johnson and a second-round pick in 2020. Through 4 games this season, David Johnson is averaging 3.86 yards per rush, 37th among qualified rushers, while Hopkins leads the NFL with 39 catches. Hopkins has also caught 85% of his targets. So that's why you're getting canned, Bill. It's not because of your record. I think if you wouldn't have made such a dramatic trade in the offseason, you might still be hanging on and they might let you finish the season. But fortunately for them, they made the right decision, and Bill O'Brien is gone. Now on to the buzz. The buzz involves the news that's going on as of today and recently in the sports universe. Miami Dolphins to start QB Ryan Fitzpatrick in week 5 after his disappointing week 4 performance. Dolphins coach Brian Flores said Monday that he wouldn't be pressured into starting Tua and that the rookie's past hip injury remains a factor in this decision. I mean, I completely agree with Brian Flores here. I understand that you want to get the rookie some reps. I don't necessarily believe that it has to be right away. You see a lot of guys that sat behind quarterbacks their first season, and it helps them a lot, especially with a guy like Tua. You don't want to put Tua in too early. He is injury prone, unfortunately, and I believe the only way to develop health in that aspect and to break the chain of being injury prone is to give him more time between his last injury and to build strength. The stronger you are, the better his odds are. So I agree with that. And I agree with that also because I have Ryan Fitzpatrick in a fantasy league, and that's a dynasty league, and it's a super flex, and he's my super flex quarterback. So let's keep the ball rolling. Next, Tennessee Titans have no positive COVID-19 tests, can reopen facility on Wednesday. A total of 20 Titans players and other staff members have returned positive coronavirus tests since September 24th. There are currently no positive COVID tests, as I stated in the headline, and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell warned the league's 32 teams Monday of penalties, including potential forfeits of games for violations of COVID-19 protocols that force changes in the schedule. Brilliant move for Roger Goodell. Says, listen, you guys want to go out on your nights off, you want to go get some riffraff, or you want to go get some tail, there will be violations, and it's not just necessarily going to be fines for the teams. It's going to be forfeits of games. And I think that will definitely lock down some guys and realize that they don't want to be the cause to any more chaos, which it was chaos. I mean, not only for the NFL rescheduling, but as a fantasy football player and trying to shuffle around rosters and seeing commissioners trying to figure out the best ways to go about possible games being postponed. It's a headache. So good for Roger Goodell and good for the Titans to be able to get their facility back open. Miami Heat's Bam Adebayo upgraded to questionable for game number 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. Who is Miami's all-star center, who missed games 2 and 3 of the title series against the Lakers with a neck strain, is now listed as questionable for game 4 on Tuesday night. The Heat made the determination Monday while continuing to list fellow starter Goran Dragic as doubtful with a torn left plantar fascia. Florida State names Jordan Travis to start at QB against Notre Dame. Travis came in for a struggling freshman Tate Rodemaker with the Seminoles trailing 14-0 and provided a spark, leading the Seminoles to 5 straight touchdown drives in the 41-24 victory. That's how you gain a starting spot, and especially for that franchise, we'll call it a franchise, a dwindling Seminoles franchise, bring that back up and get them going. So that is the buzz of the week. Let's get into the bets because we killed it. Bet Nation, we killed it last week in the bets. I went 5-1-0, and let's go through those really quickly. So I smashed the over, which was 62.5 points on the Texas versus Texas Tech game. Final score was 63-56, so the total combined score was 119. So we smashed the over on that, and we won. Next, I tapped the under, unfortunately, on the Texas A&M Alabama game. The under was 51.5. Well, Alabama scored 52, so we definitely didn't hit the under on that. The final score was 24-52, which equals 76 points combined. So that was our loss for the week. Next, we had the Ravens favored by 13. They beat the Washington football team by 14, so we won that one. And then the Saints favored by 4 over the Lions. They actually beat the Lions by 6, so we won that one as well. The Colts I took as favorites by 2.5 over the Bears. They won by 8, so I won that as well. And last but not least, our last victory of last week was the Packers. They were favored by 7.5. They won by 14. So let's get into some new bets this week. I'm excited, man. It's a great plate of games coming to us this week. First, I'm going to touch on Missouri at LSU. LSU currently is ranked number 17. They are averaging 37.5 points per game. Missouri is averaging only 15.5 per game. Although Missouri did score 19 points on a good Alabama defense. So right now the over-under for that game is 54.5. I will smash the over on that. You heard it right. Smash the over. 54.5, Missouri at LSU. Next, we're going to dip into number 22, Texas at Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma is even ranked right now because they lost their last week's game. They are currently 1-2. However, Oklahoma is favored currently by 1.5. So I am going to take Texas to win outright. I am very high on Sam Ehlinger. He is the QB for Texas. In his 3 games this season, he has a 63.3 completion percentage with 924 yards and 14 touchdowns with only 2 interceptions. He is a monster. He puts up points. The over-under was over 70 points, so I am not going to tap that just in case we do get ourselves into a little bit of a barn burner, but I will take Texas to win outright since Oklahoma is favored by 1.5. Dipping into the NFL games that we're going to bet on, first and foremost, we have Bengals at Ravens. The over-under is 51. Smash the over. We're smashing the over. Let's go. Eagles at Steelers. The over-under is 45. Smash the over. We're smashing it. Let's go. Colts at Broncos. Colts favored by 3. I will take the dogs in the Browns to upset the Colts this week. I think that they're going to take that momentum and run with it, especially at home in Cleveland. Next, we have the Cardinals at the Jets. What a shitty turn of events for the Cardinals. I was very high on them this year. Hopefully they will bounce back because they are favored by 6.5. I will take the Cards to win by a touchdown in that matchup. So that will complete the bets of the week. So we have the over-under. We're going to smash the over on Missouri at LSU. We have Texas to win outright against Oklahoma. We have the Bengals at Ravens, over under 51. We're going to smash the over. Eagles at Steelers, over under 45. We're going to smash the over. Colts favored by 3. We're going to take the Browns to beat the Colts in that matchup. And then Cardinals favored by 6.5. We're going to take them to beat the Jets by a touchdown. So that is our bets of the week. Once again, if you're reading the bottom line there, right below here, it simply states that you can find a bunch of information about Benzy's Bit as well as Twist, the Weekend Sports Talk, which is the head honcho show that we come to you live on Saturdays with great guests and things of that nature. Go check that out at twistsportstalk.com. Make sure you're also going up here in the corner. You see All Access. That's the All Access Sports Network. Go check that out. Listen to live sports radio all throughout the day. And make sure to follow me, Matt Benz, at Twist Benz on Twitter for all of my pandemonium and crazy, pompous predictions. Whew, say that 5 times fast. With that, I hope you all have a blessed week. I appreciate every last one of you, and have a good one.